Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, while you are coming to the realization that Flow Aura does feel good, rewatching the Bad Bunny halftime show, celebrating the fact that the Patriots didn't win the Super Bowl, whatever it is that you're doing right now, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Shout outs to Tokapa, who is currently sitting in timeout, I believe for another 3 minutes, for coming into my chat during the pre-show saying, "Go Hawks." We're not going to have that here. As a Rams fan, this was the worst possible matchup that we could have had. Seahawks versus Patriots. They both can't lose. The Sam Darnold aspect of it is still kind of cool. Like, I root for that storyline. The Bad Bunny halftime show, amazing, as expected it to be. There was some stuff going on today on social media that I didn't really have time to prep for, but maybe you guys can cover it during the Taking Your Call segment. Jared released a little screenshot document thing or whatever, talking about Jared suddenly realizing how horrible Midlevel has been for a lot of people for several years. It's just like, oh. And there's a lot to unpack there, a lot to talk about. And I could do an entire segment of the podcast talking about it. It just, all the thoughts in my head that I want to get out, I didn't have time to put pen to paper. So maybe during Taking Your Calls today, you guys want to talk about mid-level stuff and your opinion on the state of all that. Go right ahead. I just want to point out one thing. If there, of all the thoughts going on in my head, there's one thing I always like to point out. Whenever this mid-level sucks conversation is brought up again, eventually it circles back around to it's Low Ink's fault. The finger somehow always gets pointed at Low Ink. At no point during Jared or Pika Dave's or anybody else's response that I've seen that gave like a long, detailed, thought-out response did anybody mention Low Ink. But I know it's going to happen. I know eventually it's going to say, well, the reason mid-level sucks is because of Low Ink and all this stuff. Okay. All right. Nobody's talking about that. So let's not get to that point in the conversation because that's not going to help mid-level at all. Here's something that is going to help mid-level. What if you guys didn't rely on the Low Ink verification staff to determine who is and isn't good at this video game? You don't know the number of people that have either come to help desk this past week or straight up DM'd Low Ink staff asking us if we could get banned, if we could like ban them from Low Ink or show proof that they are banned from Low Ink because they're currently trying out for a team and that team's not going to accept them unless they are in fact Low Ink banned. What? Why? If you're trying out for a team and they are stupid enough to not look into your own results and come to their own determination of how good you are or not, why would you try out for that team? That doesn't sound like the most well-rounded team that's able to kind of get a sense on things in their head. Instead, well, let's just see what 35-year-old Popgun and his band of merry men have to say about my team, if I should be banned or not, if I should be allowed to play it. Stop it. Stop it. You don't have to play in Low Ink. I am the Low Ink guy telling you that if you have a problem with Low Ink, go away. You're not forced to play in it. You don't have to do any of that. Open tournaments have always existed and always will. But I cannot get past the fact that there has been this big movement. I shouldn't say big movement, but there have been people who have come out in the past year and said, hot take, you don't have to play in Low Ink or Low Ink is overrated. Okay. I don't have any pushback against that. I'm not going to beg anybody to play in low ink. It's an option. It's a tool for you guys to use if you want to use it. If not, it's not required. It's optional. The only people who make it required are the knuckleheads who rely on our verification system to tell them who is and isn't good at the video game, when they could just do that themselves. So don't bring this conversation back. I know it's eventually going to get there because I've sat through this mid-level sucks conversation for 6 years. And I know it always gets back to that. Don't let it happen this time around. Do not point the finger at low ink. It's not us. It's not us. But anyways, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on all this because there's so much more non-low ink related stuff to get out with mid-level. I just didn't have time to write it out. So I'm relying on you guys against my better judgment to write it out for us during the Taking Your Call segment, which we will get to. First off, news of tournaments may be of interest to the casual listener of the podcast. And you'll have to bear with me. I'm still battling some gunk. Popgun's such a trooper doing an episode while gunky. Yeah. Speed Ladder is taking place this upcoming Saturday. If you're looking for it on Cindo.inc, you're not going to find it. It is on start.gg. It is going to take place on Saturday at 1 p.m. and it will close at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So you don't even have to register for it now. You can register during the tournament, sign up and play in it. That's the fun thing about Speed Ladder. Why does it have to be on start.gg? The format can't really be done anywhere else. Like, technically, I guess they could do it on Battlefy. It seems to be running Speed Ladder just fine. But Inkacademy has always been the ones who have run Speed Ladder, and they've just always done it on start.gg. It's fine. Obviously, you can't do that on Sindao.inc, which is frustrating for members of the seating council because, like, now it's perfect. I can just click on your profile. I can see everything you've done except for what you do on tournaments outside of Sindao.inc, which is the Splatoon 3 North American League and Speed Ladder, the official seeding tournament. One of the official seeding tournaments for FLUTI is difficult for the seating council to get the exact information from. I will be honest, though. I kind of said this last week, and I'll double down on it here. Speed Ladder isn't going to do a lot for you. I don't recall anybody ever really oh, you didn't play in Speed Ladder, that really hurt you, or you did play in Speed Ladder, that bumped you up like a div or two. Like, I think at this point you are who you are. And I think the council know that. If you have no results to go off of, yeah, like playing Speed Ladder is great. But you'll notice a lot of Div X teams don't touch Speed Ladder. And if you want to move up, you got to play teams that are better than you. So if you do get those opportunities in Speed Ladder where you play, if you're like a low ink team and you play like a team that's banned from low ink, you better make damn sure you beat them. Like, you better make sure you beat them, because just beating up other low ink teams, that doesn't really do much for you. So, I don't know. I'd play in Speed Ladder's fun. It's a fun concept of a tournament. I have nothing against that. Just, I continue to see more things of like, oh, is the seating council going to, like, not seat us if we don't play in Speed Ladder? Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. If you give me a reason not to look you up on Speed Ladder, I'll give you a higher div. I'm joking. Today we're going to be taking your calls. As I mentioned before, we're going to be talking about mid-level stuff, but we'll also be talking about FLUTI, if that catches your fancy. All that and more. But first, the biggest tournament of the entire year has already come and gone. Officially, 189 teams played in last weekend's FLUTI, which is just one shy of what FLUTI got last year of 190. But nobody's going to come close to that. That 189 from the past weekend, that is the biggest tournament that's going to take place the entire year. Nothing from now through the end of December is going to top it. No Super Jump, no 20XX, no Low Ink, no Splatoon 3 North American League. Whenever that comes out, that's not going to get more teams than what you saw this past weekend. That was it. It's the second biggest tournament ever to take place on Cindo.Inc. And for those of you who played in it, and those of us who are just kind of spectating the standings, it definitely felt like the second biggest tournament ever on Cindo.Inc. Falling, of course, to the tournament that finished just above it with just one more team, which was FLUTI last year. Not even Riptide? No. Riptide's... No. Riptide would never... Riptide couldn't even handle 190 teams. It's not even physically possible for them to pull off a tournament that big at Riptide. That would be cool to see, though. But that was the biggest tournament. If you didn't play in it, you missed it. You're going to have to wait again. Well, there won't be another tournament that big until FLUTI 8, which I'm assuming is going to take place sometime next year. Maybe next February, like the last couple ones have been taking place. Nothing's going to top it. So why is it the biggest tournament of the entire year of 2026? Two reasons. The format is actually built for it, and you guys have been Jedi mind tricked into thinking that this is the only way to get results that the seeding council can look at for your division seeding that's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks. Which, with those two things in mind, it makes it ridiculous when you see statements like, why don't we see more of these teams play in other tournaments? How come these teams only come out to play in FLUTI, to play in LUTI, but they won't play in other tournaments? I've been hearing that for a long time as well, especially when it comes to Low Ink. How come Low Ink's getting 200 teams, but this open tournament's only getting 30? Those Low Ink teams are scared to play in those events. If everybody played in all open events, this community would be awesome. Let me just kind of remind you guys, nobody wants to have 190 team tournaments. Nobody wants that. You think you do. You think that would be a cool thing, but just picture how that would function in your head. Just think about what a one-day tournament that has 190 teams in it that doesn't use the format that FLUTI does. How would that even function? If SOS had 190 teams in this upcoming Wednesday tournament, it would end not at midnight on Wednesday. It would end on midnight on Thursday. It would take way too long to go through all of that. If you had a double elimination tournament, 33 teams is annoying to deal with. 65 teams, I would argue at that point you should never run a double elimination tournament that you hope to end in one day if you have 65 teams. Why? At that point, when you go past 64, you go to 65, you add one more round into the winner's side and one, I believe, two more rounds on the loser's side. So for 2 to 3 additional rounds to be added. And you might be saying, well, but Popgun, what if that one additional round is just one match because it's two teams and they just get done quickly? Well, what if it lasts for 25 minutes both times? You just added an extra hour to your already crazy long tournament. That's just 65 teams. You can't do a format with 190 teams. That's impossible. Why do you think Low Ink's a 2-day tournament? Because we can't find a way to accurately get down and determine a true champion between 90 teams in a slightly fair way. The only option you have when you get a certain number of teams is either do Swiss, which sucks for everybody. Low Ink guy here admitting yet again, Swiss sucks. If there was another alternative we could do with Low Ink, we would do it, but nothing exists. The only option is Speed Ladder, which again, fun concept, horrible for producing an actual champion. So whenever you see somebody say, why can't we have these same 190 teams play in all these other tournaments? Nobody wants that. No TO ever wants that many teams in a tournament. If they think they do, Tell tell them they can sit in on a low ink once when we get half that number of teams. It's a little crazy there. Now, the concept of FLUTI is strange when you think about it. Because, yes, 189 teams played in it. But to actually win FLUTI, you have to win the Division S, right? Like, to win low ink, you have to win alpha bracket. You didn't win low ink if you won gamma bracket or beta bracket or something like that. But you don't earn your way into Division S by playing through the tournament. You have to get seeded into it. So before FLUTI even started, before round 1, some of you already lost the tournament by the time you hit the check-in button. Of the 189 teams, 165 were eliminated from winning the tournament before round 1 even started based on the seed that they were given. And they're fine with that. They're cool with that. I can't win this tournament? Okay. I didn't want to win it anyways. I just wanted to win whatever division I got placed into. And that's the real key that makes FLUTI and LUTI so awesome, is the mindset of the potential to play matches against every single opponent you're going to be going up against is somewhere near, if not as close to the same skill level as you could possibly be. Yes, the concept of playing teams that are better than you helps you improve. Yes, I understand that teams shouldn't be afraid to play in open tournaments. I understand that. But there is nothing more fun, more enjoyable than when you are slightly better or just slightly worse than the opponent you're going up against, and everybody has an opportunity to win every match that you play. I want to play a team that's definitely better than me to improve. That's every single tournament that's out there that's open. You can get that experience everywhere, almost every single day, regardless of what region you live in. You can't get that experience of FLUTI very often. So when it rolls around, of course, teams are going to come out of the woodworks and sign up and play in it. And that's a good thing. Do I think this is a format that they're going to be using more often? There has been in the past. I couldn't find it because challenge sucks. I couldn't find it, but I know there were times where LUTI did an off-season FLUTI just for fun. And I couldn't find exactly how many teams signed up to it or how popular it was. But this would be a cool concept if it was more of like a monthly or a bi-monthly kind of thing. And I'm not suggesting more work for other people to do. Yes, I'm on the seeding council for LUTI, and I've always had the option to help out seeding FLUTI. I've never done that because it's like, okay, you want me to seed how many teams in how short of a time? No, thank you. I'd rather not. I'm going to spend this Saturday going to the Children's Museum with my son, and you guys have fun seeding that. And also, like, if the seeding is messed up in FLUTI, the cool thing about it is you get to prove the council wrong immediately. It's not like LUTI where you're like, I'm going to prove the seeding council wrong. They put me in Division 4. Okay, it's going to take you 2.5 months to prove the council wrong. And by the time you do that, all of us are going to forget who you were anyways 2.5 months ago. And it's like, okay, you proved me wrong. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. But FLUTI, you get that result that same day. Ha! You put me in Division A, I'm going to win Division A. You should have put me in Division S, you morons. That's the cool thing about FLUTI. There is this new thing, though. I'm not going to leak specifics, but there is this new thing the seeding council has been given by the tech wizards behind LUTI to help speed up the seeding process. It's this thing where it takes 5 teams from every team that's registered, and it says rank these 5 teams 1 through 5, and you just keep doing that over and over and over again, and eventually everybody's input gets put into this giant pool, and it ranks every single team based on our opinion. Like, by doing just 5 teams at a time, eventually you get like everybody kind of seated in somewhere. And that's been giving us a very quick, rough draft to work with. I've talked in the past, the most difficult thing or the most time-consuming thing with FLUTI during the seeding week is getting that rough draft done of like, here's what the rough draft divisions look like. Then we spend the rest of the time being like, okay, these 4 bubble teams here versus the 4 bubble teams that are in the division right below them. Let's compare those teams against each other. It takes a while to get to that, but this new kind of tool that they've given the seeding council, this new little 5-team mini game that you can play at any time, I think is speeding up that rough draft process. They kind of did a test run of that for FLUTI, and I haven't seen what the results were of that, but I am kind of curious to see if we'll be able to implement that somehow during the LUTI seeding week. And if that's the case, then the most annoying part of running FLUTI, which is the seeding, might have a way to speed up a little bit, which would make running FLUTI in the future a little bit easier. I'm not sitting here like saying, I have no involvement in running tournaments with LUTI. I'm just saying FLUTI is an awesome tournament, and it would be nice to see run more often in the off season. I think there would be value in that. I think that would be another tournament that's value added and not so much another tournament that's just, oh, this is just another thing we got to do. Because, or it's like, oh, okay, just another redundant double elimination zones only tournament that we see so much and so often. Who popped off in this event? Obviously, we have a tournament to look at from its perspective of, is this going to change anyone's seeding or division? I'm just going to list off a few teams that caught my eye personally. Now, that don't read too much into any of this, okay? 189 teams played in FLUTI. More than double that are going to be playing in LUTI in 2 weeks. So, like, none of this is... You can't really compare, oh, I did this good in this division. That means I'm automatically going to get this. Keep in mind, Ball Up Top won 190 team FLUTI last year. They got Division 1. They didn't even get Division X. They weren't even close to being in the conversation of should they be in Division X. That might be different this time around because I don't think a lot of the Div X teams are returning. But speaking of Division S, I will say this about Blank Z. Blanks, the team that won Division S. I genuinely do not see a world where they do not get Division X this season. I typically don't say stuff like that because it's setting up to fail, as in like, okay, well, that team didn't get it, but Popgun said 2 weeks ago, clearly they would. But you look at how much Blank Z has been improving over the course of 2025. I think I had them as one of my top 2, if not my most improved team of 2025. And they start off this year by winning FLUTI. I'm having a hard time coming up with 12 other teams that would play in LUTI that would be better. And I mean, you look at the teams that sign up, like, okay, there's like these 3, these 4, like, yeah, they're going to be in Division X. Like, that's not going to take a lot of thought to it. But I'm starting to realize, and I hope a bunch of other people are as well, that Blank Z is going to be one of those teams where it's like, okay, they're a no-brainer Division X team. And that's awesome for them, unless like a bunch of FT Wins and Moonlights come out of nowhere and take that spot from them. Another team that's going to have a lot of eyeballs on them from the seeding council for Div X perspective is Poyo. And Poyo had a good run. They made a tiebreaker, got them into Top Cut of Division S. But they were a Div X team last season, and the most famous Div X team, because we talked about how of the 12 teams that got in, Poyo was the 12th team to get in. It was the only team that needed to actually to be debated to be put into Division X, and they ended up beating Black Lotus week 1. So it's, okay, do they get back in again? A pretty decent run with this tournament, and probably some help if they could play in some other tournaments as well. Should kind of secure that spot for them. Division A, and here's the true problem with FLUTI, like comparing divisions to each other. Division A, you already see that awkward mix of teams that are banned from low ink and teams that are still playing in low ink, like alpha bracket teams. Like Division A, 48 teams in, we're already see low ink eligible teams playing. Whereas you're not going to see that when it comes to actual FLUTI being put together. It was a good, and this is what I've been talking about. If you're a low ink team and you want to take that next step, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to do just that. You're going to play plenty of teams in Speed Ladder or this past weekend in FLUTI or any open tournament. And a lot of low ink teams do play in open tournaments. I always do the math. Don't sit here and tell me low ink teams don't play in open tournaments. You genuinely do not know what you're talking about because the proof is there for anybody to look up. But a lot of low ink eligible teams just got to prove why they're eligible for low ink. You got to beat some of these teams. You got to beat some of these teams that are better than low ink, but they're not getting those wins. And we didn't see a lot of that in Division A either. It was good to see Anarchy Stars continue to keep grinding. They did great in this tournament. The team that finished in second place, Blitz Wave, was playing in low ink back in June of last year, I think before we gave them the boot. But those are teams that have been banned from low ink and are continuing to grind as the same teams they were back then and are working their way through the quote-unquote mid-level hell you guys are talking about. That's awesome to see. And I wanted to point out that they did good in Division A, and that's good to see them continuing to improve. Division B, Rest in the Milky Way continues to impress. I didn't do an episode of the last low ink because of what was I doing? Oh, we were potty training. That's right. But Rest of the Milky Way went 6-0, a very impressive 6-0 during the Swiss stage of low ink, and they're continuing that with an impressive run through Division B here. Soyjack Squids, they went 10-0 in their group, which is the best way to say, hey, don't put me in a division with all these other teams, because I just 10-0'd this group. Like, I went undefeated. Yeah, once you get the top cut, that's where you can start seeing things. But when you're just like curb stomping everyone who didn't make top cut, that's when it says, okay, I'm better than these teams. I'm consistently showing I'm better. And it's like, all right, that catches our eye. We got you. We got you, Soyjack Squids. I didn't know who Orange Gel was, but they looked really impressive. The best team, I think, who might have made like the biggest jump up or the biggest, like, here's what our potential actually is Altruist, who won Gamma Bracket back in June and finished second place here in Division B. So not too shabby of a run for them. Maybe I'll figure out how to pronounce their name correctly, too, if they keep playing like this. Division C, this is where FLUTI really shines as a tournament for the seeding council. You see a lot of teams in Division C and Division D that just curb stomp the group stage and then just kind of like, okay, now we're playing the actual tournament in Top Cut. Now we're playing other teams that are still level. But this is where you get the most information, Division C and Division D. Division C, Dangerous Dinner and Snowfall were the clear, like, okay, we'll keep an eye out. We'll make sure we get you guys right when it comes to FLUTI. Division D, I got a lot of teams that really separated themselves. Tamu Maroon, which I want to say is Texas A&M University. If I had to take a guess, although that could just be like Timu Maroon, we'll go with that. They stomped their group all the way to the finals. I think they won all of Division D. Other teams, Too Late, Sunstrike, 5-4 Encore, Angel Inc., 100 Times Cooler, Syncopation, and Breaking Dawn. And actually, it's interesting to think the top three teams in Division D, all of them went 4-1 in groups. So all of them didn't exactly curb stomp their groups, but made top cut and then flipped the switch once they got the top cut and made a name for themselves. So impressive run for them all around. Are we going to like break down Speed Ladder next week? No. No. FLUTI is more revealing to the seating council than Speed Ladder is. Speed Ladder is a good way to get a tons of results. Best of 3 results. But again, most of you already have hundreds, if not thousands, of best of 3 results to your name anyways. So FLUTI was like a good kind of indicator for stuff that the seating council can work with. But there's plenty of tournaments still going along for us to keep moving down the road. Well, what do you guys think? Do you guys want to talk about FLUTI? I am hoping you have some thoughts on the mid-level conversation because I haven't been able to get through it. By the way, thank you for the raids. Toyobin, Devi, Duvi. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Devi Dubi? Is that who you are? Ever heard of you? But we're going to be opening up the phone lines. We're going to be allowing you to come on, and no pro Seahawk talk on the Popcast today. We're not tolerating that nonsense. But if you go to the IPL Discord server and join the stage that I've started now in the general VC, join it, raise your hand. We will bring you on one at a time to talk about whatever it is that you guys want to talk about. Phone lines are open now in the IPL Discord server, and while we're waiting for those to heat up, let's mosey on down to the weekly recap. Paddling pool number 355 took place last Wednesday. It was won by Looking for an Internship 6 month. Difficult took second place, and Rucksack Party took home the bronze medal. Only 13 teams played in paddling pool number 355, which made it a A-ranked tournament and not an S-ranked. Again, I'm sure it's broken down somewhere what a tournament needs to achieve to get a certain rank. I haven't looked at what that is, but I would imagine more paddling pools are S's than A's. Is this just the division scale that we're going with here, S through A? Shouldn't X be the top one? Is that how that works? SOS number 215, won by NRG. Second place went to What Doin', and Ty Liners rounds out your top 3. This tournament also included Ball Up Top, Heelbook, and Poyo, all of whom are in the mix for high divisions, if not the highest divisions in Division X. Look for SOS and other tournaments, paddling, Triton, all that stuff to have a lot of players playing in it, especially those that are knocking on the door of getting divisions that they want to get in, including the teams here. Hammer was won by Bang. Mako Bracket was won by Mischievous Moggers. I hope that's not a slur. And Lantern Bracket was won by Absolution. Triton Cup number 133 was won by Flow Dragons. Count My Bands took second place, and For Pettis Cajones 3 rounds out your top 3 there. Triton Cup took place last Friday, It was a Splat Zones only double elimination tournament that had 23 teams playing in it. Got that big fat S rank of a tournament, which I believe every Triton Cup will for this foreseeable future. FLUTI 7 recap. Let's go through all the divisions. Division S was won by Blanks. Division A was won by a team that had Japanese text in their name. Division B was won by Unknown. Division C won by Dangerous Dinner, not to be confused with Delicious Steak Dinner. Division D won by Tamu Maroon. In the NFL, the Super Bowl took place last night. The Seahawks beat the Patriots 29-13. Of course, both teams were lucky. The Rams weren't eligible to play in it as well because they lost to the Seahawks the week before. Seattle wins their second Super Bowl title. And that was your weekly recap. Sponsored by the book of the day, Never Touch a Spider. A really cool, touchy book that teaches your children not to touch bugs, while at the same time encouraging them to touch said bugs with cool little texture things. So they're sitting here touching all these things, all these bugs, while the book is also telling them, hey, don't touch these bugs. Now, it does say eventually, like, yeah, you can touch the bugs in this book, but don't touch bugs IRL. So I guess it's just a good way to scare kids into never associating with critters ever. But when we're talking about books to read your children, and this is a very popular PJ book, which is why I'm sharing it with you guys today, and also making it the official sponsor today's segment of the weekly recap. Hands are raised. And as usual, we are going to stave off the Yoshi God as long as we could possibly do it. And we're going to start off with Cactus.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I've been better, but
That's what I've seen.
nothing stops this train, except for a lot of
Never.
things. What are you up to, Cactus? What's up?
Not too much. I came here to give some 2 cents about the mid-level crisis, if you will.
A crisis.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, gotta exaggerate a little bit. What's the fun in it with if you're not gonna make it seem like the end of the world? Um, I think the one thing I won't go crazy, I won't go on a rant because I know a lot of people are gonna have different perspectives and a lot of different things they want to say about it. So I think I'll just say about just the one thing that kind of stuck the most with me, especially as someone who was one of the tryouts for Jared's FLUTI pickup thing. And I think the one thing that I learned and stuck with me was that when it comes to, I guess you could call it problem solving or just acknowledging the corrections that need to be made, there really wasn't any like response from the mid-level players, and everyone just had to kind of wait for Jared to say something. And I noticed it wasn't even just the two tryouts that I had. It was just with multiple different tryouts throughout the sessions that Jared had, of course, because he was streaming everything. There were a lot of times where a lot of players were just like, I don't really know what to do here. I don't know where to go. I don't know what the situation is. And it was very interesting to note because I feel like we see a lot of times when players figure it out, it's at least in the mid-level scene, it's too late. It's way past when the event's over. It's way past the set. It's not until after their VOD reviewing where they're like, oh, I should have did this better. It's not like how top level players have that kind of perspective and that mindset of what can I fix in this moment and what am I noticing from this one game, rather than just what most players do, I think, after a loss is complain about something that doesn't need to be complained about. Now
Well,
you could say this,
I
yeah.
think on kind of the things you mentioned there, I think one of the reason why you're saying nobody's like kind of speaking up, or when they're in like a VC with Jared, it's because they're in a VC with a one of the best players on the planet. I
Mhm.
mean, like even throwing Japan, Jared's still pretty good with those cats
Yeah.
as well. So I think it's just more of like oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing, or I don't want to say, not in like, oh, I don't want to make Jared mad, but like, I don't want to come across as an idiot and say
Hmm.
something and Jared be like, actually, no, that's not correct. Like, what you need to do is this or that or something like that. Um, and another thing I've seen people talk about is coaching. Um, and I've seen somebody mention like, well, low level doesn't have any problem. Like, we get all the
Hmm.
scrims we want. We can make all the friends we want. We can get access to coaches. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that people are, well, I'm not smart enough at the game to coach a mid-level team, but I can help out a team that's just getting started. Like
Hmm.
anybody who's alpha level of, well, I mean, I don't want to like put skill levels to these things. I mean, there's people who don't even play the video game that have coached Div X top level teams successfully, very successfully. Um, but I think there's a lot of people that are like, I know how to help out low level, and that's especially why you see skill cap tournaments is because I know
Hmm.
how to. I grew up playing in those, so I know how to run those, and I think people are afraid maybe afraid's not the correct word, but don't feel comfortable enough to help out in the same way with the mid-level scene because the skill level might be up to a point where they feel like they can't match the like the analytical level of it.
Yeah, and you can't help but think there's also an expectation too from a lot of the mid-level players of where they want their coach to be somebody who is either been in their spot but is somewhere further along than them. I mean, you see it a lot of times where
Yeah.
why like a lot of people turn away from coaches in either similar or lower level, even though they have the knowledge, they have the mindset, but it's just if you don't have in a sense the skill to prove that you're the knowledge you have can be backed up, they don't want it. And I think that's a huge, I guess you could say, ego thing that a lot of mid-level players need to get over is that just because someone maybe isn't like better than you in skill doesn't mean they don't have the mindset that you just don't have when it comes to how to process the game and how you can get better, because maybe they just see the game differently than you do.
Yeah, and if you get to the mindset of, oh well, okay, we're a Div 4, Div 3 team or something like that. Okay, well, let's go get a Div 1 player to coach us. There,
Mm.
we've been referencing the pyramid forever. There's not a large pool of people from Div 1 to Div X that are in general. But then
Mm.
when you narrow down, okay, which one of these players is willing to coach us and also is a good enough communicator to be good at coaching? Like, you could have somebody who's a Div X player that has a wealth of knowledge, but is horrible at conveying that knowledge to somebody below them. Like that, like
Yeah.
if you're looking for somebody in your mid-level wants that specific person, that person might not exist, or if they do, they don't have like the time or like, okay, well, I don't even care to do something like this.
Mm.
So that's another kind of trap, I think. Like another mindset thing. Again, like you could find somebody who knows, who can figure it out, can help your team figure things out, but you might not give them a shot because they don't have the Loic band certificate or whatever that they got.
Yeah, exactly. And it's having I guess the record, the ability to be like, yeah, I've done all this. You should totally listen to me. That if that's non-existent, it's just you can just kind of get tossed aside. And that's amongst the many other, issues that are approached in the mid-level scene that unfortunately some people just aren't able to kind of get over. And you said it best earlier. This is it's one of those things that this has been an issue for so long, and and maybe this is one of those weird factors where finally somebody actually takes somewhat kind of action to it. But I think was it Pika who had a really really good quote post on Blue Sky to Jared's post where it's just like if you start listing out your issues and start planning out a solution to at least some of them, you'll actually get somewhere. Because we could complain all we want, we could say what we want about what the fixes, or that the issues are. Until we start figuring out what our solutions probably can be, there's almost no point in having this conversation again. I think that's what I've really enjoyed. It's just about in general about the rare chances where someone just speaks volumes to an issue is that somewhere like Blue Sky we actually talk about it. We can actually be like, yeah, well, here's maybe a good fix. Here's something we could try to do. I like my one example I've been thinking about and talking to some friends about is people just need to stop thinking that everyone sucks around them. Like you all suck. We're all stuck in this bubble. No one's gotten to a high level at any point. Some people have been in mid level for way too long, and they've been trying to get out for who knows how long. But they're all just stuck in the niche of I only want to do it with these select few people, and those people aren't always free. So maybe you need to start looking abroad and at the huge bubble that is the mid level zone that you need to start experimenting and it's not being afraid and start judging others that are probably also judging you for your skill.
And I think that's the value of Blue Sky as well. As you mentioned, like we can have actual conversation. Now, is anything going to come of this? Are we still going to have this conversation a year from now?
Oh yeah.
Probably. But again, like we're at least like the points that Jared brought up have never been said by a player of Jared's caliber before.
Yeah.
Because as Jared even admitted, like why would I even think like this is how it is? Like I'm not I'm not connected to that part yet. But now as Jared's getting connected to it, it's starting to, oh, that's what you guys have been talking about. Okay, I've seen this firsthand now. So yeah, I love the top player integration down to the community, and we've been begging for that for years, and I don't blame anybody for not taking that plunge, but I think Jared is kind of leading the way, and I think people are starting to realize, like, oh, yeah, there is some like value in stuff like this. Just to move on to the next, are you playing in FLUTI this season?
That's a great question. Probably not. I try to make it every season if I can. But this is one of the few chances I think I'm gonna have to pass up the competing standpoint, and maybe I'll sit more behind the desk this time and maybe commentate a little bit more, or, have some fun with some production dabbling this time around.
You know how many FLUTI matches I have lost since I stopped playing in FLUTI?
Zero.
Zero. But you get to commentate them. That's the thing about commentating. You only win. You never lose. It's
Absolutely.
All right, Cactus, get out of here.
All right, we'll do.
You call in anytime. All right. We can't avoid this any longer, but I have high hopes. I have high hopes this time around.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Oh, you already know. You know, I'm
a little sick. I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I appreciate you being sorry.
No, I mean, like, it's the least I could do. I recommend some tea, by the way. So I do have something serious to say, but I'm gonna get the jokes out of the way first. So like, I was thinking about this. I was in a staff call recently under pressure, and I was talking to some of the guys, and I realized that I'd actually applied to be a commentator at IPL, and I'm curious. I'm such a high level mind. I'm such a great personality. Why am I not allowed to commentate IPL tournaments?
Well, let me ask you this: when did you apply to that?
Right after I started commentating FTIU, actually. FTIU, and then I did Golden Paddling Pool. I think I applied after that.
Okay, that's a great frame of mindset that brings zero dates. What was the date?
It had to have been like 4 or 5 months ago. That was when I was like commentating.
So I've kind of pointed out how we've done a horrible job at IPL of just leaving that application open even when we're not like looking at it. And so I wanted to make sure, like, if you did that within the last couple of months, I was like, I thought we took that down. But I'll say this, and I mean this 100% genuinely. If you're available for a low ink, like commentary wise, DM me. We'll put you on at some point. Like, I mean that seriously, because as bizarre as you are, that translates well into commentary. Like it. So yeah, I'm like serious. Like straight up DM me next time there's lunch that you're not playing in, but you want to commentate. We'll get you on.
Last time I was on, I was commentating a triple bucket team, and I was talking about polycules. So I think maybe I don't know if I'm allowed to do that on the IPL mic, but another question I had.
Nobody watches IPL tournaments anyways. Certainly not the upper brass. It's not like we're gonna know if you do something crazy. So, anyways, what's next?
So the next question I had was, I recently posted a skit, and I was curious to hear your thoughts on the creative direction I took with when parts of portraying you. Is there any parts of that skit that I maybe left out that I could have maybe done better? Anything that you would want to differently in that skit?
Well, I mean, you don't have to wear a bowl on your head. I
gotta make it.
I have never worn a bowl on my head during an episode of the Popcast, and I've done over 300 of these. Sometimes I wear a hat. Sometimes I wear a wig. A lot of times I don't wear anything because I'm proud of the receding hairline that I've had since I was 16 years old. At no point have I worn a bowl on my head, so that makes no sense for you to do it. I thought you were, it showed a lack of respect for the source material. Let's just say that.
So in the future, should I like shave my hair? Because like that's when I was like, I didn't want to like shave my hair to get the hairline right.
I think the title below that says this is making fun of Popgun does enough without referencing my my follicle deficiency, I guess. So there we
All
go.
right.
Is that the end of your
I'll leave.
jokes?
Yeah,
Or
those are
we?
the end of my
All
jokes.
right.
I
What's your
mean, I heard
serious?
I heard Cactus talking about coaching at mid level. I have a decent amount of experience coaching at both low, mid, and then a little bit of high level. But I got booted pretty quickly when we got to high level. So I'm gonna maybe keep my thoughts to myself on that. But I think like the biggest issue that I always find with these mid level teams, I feel like there's just not enough direction with a lot of the teams that once you break out a low level, what you want to do. I think particularly this comes in like strategy per se. Like I feel like when I watched a lot of low level, like mid level teams, excuse me, what I found is that there wasn't a lot of direction and strategy, and I felt like it was a lot of imitating of what kind of you see at certain other levels, especially high level. And while that's true and that works, and I think it's okay to take ideas from high level and use them on your own, I think not having a distinctive identity to work towards makes it really hard for a group of people to be coordinated, if that makes any sense. I feel like if you're like an imitation, it's like the Detroit Lions before we were good. Like we just got a bunch of Patriots players and we tried to be the New England Patriots. It doesn't really work, you know? You need to have your own little identity. And I think a lot of the problems that mid-level has when it comes to developing ideas is there's just not enough individuality in it. So when I look at it and I see the problems with mid level, that was something that I thought should have been brought up more in terms of that. Is just kind of some ideas that maybe could be a little bit more interesting for these players to get into. But I'm curious what you think about that.
Well, let me ask you this: when you talk about like, okay, now I'm into mid level. Are you talking about like your team should be aligned with the same kind of goal? Like what would be your goal if you were to like, okay, I'm gonna forego. I'm done with lowing. Either I get banned or I win
Yeah.
it, or I'm just gonna move on from it.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
what should your next step be?
I think this next step is because I think with the big thing with low ink and getting I mean we shouldn't use low ink as a ban, but it's so much of the community does, I guess. But I think like the big thing is like just trying to find more identity. I feel like the big thing at low level is just getting the coordination down. But once you have the coordination down, I feel like you start to get through low level a lot easier, and that's what pushes a lot of teams out of low level. I think the biggest issue I see is trying to find a consistent win condition, trying to find ways that you want to retake, for instance. I think there's not a lot of rules that these teams set around retaking and figuring out what kind of thresholds they want to go through, what kind of protocols they want to go through when they want to retake. I feel like a lot of it is just like let's just like sit here. We'll sit in this like little neutral and try to get a pick. And then if not, hopefully like a strike will push them back. And usually that does happen because a lot of teams respect strikes a lot and stuff like that. But I feel like that's not as strong as of a win condition as like maybe playing off damage pairing or maybe playing off something that's more consistent to get on the field. So I think the biggest thing that I would want to see, like in what direction they should take, is finding more win conditions
Well,
as opposed to like, yeah.
let me kind of let me say this: if it
Mhm.
does that need to come from a team buying in mindset thing, or does that need to come at just like the individual level where like I know what the win condition is and I want to be in an environment where whenever I do a pickup or I'm playing with other people, they automatically kind of buy into that as well. I think when you get into the okay, here's what our team is going to do. Okay, well
Mhm.
when that team falls apart because either somebody wants to play with like a different set of players they think are better, or somebody just stops playing the video game, or someone gets grounded or whatever, well then you just got to
Mhm.
start all over. Okay, now I got to find a new group of people, now we got to reestablish our identity, and that's where you get into like
Mhm.
a broken cycle. So I
Yeah.
think that comes more at just like an individual level of understanding the
Oh
game
yeah.
more than like a
Oh yeah.
like yeah, a team concept,
Yeah.
but not so much a team with me and these three set other players concept forever kind of thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I completely agree. I think it does have to come out at individual. So I think it's a little bit of both, though. I still think like if you're playing in a pickup or something, you should still be able to talk with your teammates. Like I think it's completely normal to like kind of butt heads on ideas and be able to kind of like talk through things. Like even if someone at like a high level says that something is that they want to play a certain way, you don't have to necessarily like agree with that. You can also bring up your own point and find common ground and maybe find out either A, where they're coming from, or B, maybe a combination of the two ideas. I don't think it's like crazy to just like to talk. And that was something that Cactus was talking about how people weren't speaking up to Jared. I think that's kind of part of it, is trying to find sort of a way to mesh ideas that are from different skill levels or from different thought processes and bring them together. I think that's also a skill on an individual level people can develop, and being able to understand the game.
So I got some other people I want to get to.
Oh yeah,
Is there
100%.
any closing thoughts you have?
I mean, just try to be more creative. That's what I always tell people. I've coached a lot of teams. The biggest thing I always see is kind of rehashing ideas that are already out there. I think it's more interesting if you try to find something that's more unique, and trying to find ways to innovate rather than just repeat a process or a protocol. So that's what I would say. That's my closing thoughts.
Why can't we get this version of you more often?
Well,
What happened? What wakes you up every day and sets you on a path of evil instead of this path you're on right now?
it's just so much more fun, Popgun. You know, you coach for like a year, and you spend so much time coaching and being serious. I think at some point, man, you just. I mean, I was like this when I was coaching too. I mean, I can't say what I used to do before sessions, but like I was not completely all the way there in my sessions either. So
All right.
I've
All
always
right.
been like this.
I'll buy it. Jeez. A rare dub segment from Yoshi God. This can only go down here from me.
Yo,
A-Scene, good morning.
good morning.
What you got?
So firstly, hello. I haven't been on for a while.
It's been a hot minute, yes. I thought you hated me because you don't write, you don't call, but now you show up out of the blue because we're talking
Yeah.
about mid-level.
So I've replied to your letters. They might have just gotten lost in the mail.
Oh yeah,
So,
swallowed up
you know,
by
happens.
by
yeah, all like
Atlantic.
4 of them, all individually got lost somewhere. I don't know how unlucky, but yeah.
What you
So
got?
I will preface this now. I did miss a huge chunk of this episode. I joined when Cactus was here, so I don't know if this is stuff that's been said before or not.
Okay.
But I'll say it anyway. So my personal thoughts on mid-level as like a whole, it's hard to define, and because skill levels aren't like a set thing you can define, there are some people who claim to be mid-level that might be like low level, or some people who claim to be low level that are good enough to be high level. But it doesn't really mean anything. But
Yes.
first and foremost, I'll say it's kind of a double-edged sword in a way. Okay, firstly, I'll say Punchy from Frutella said to me at one point that the fast track to high level is with a team and learning to win with like a set group. And while that does happen a lot in mid-level, it's not really a matter of learning to win. It's just learning to play together, and that's something that a lot of people around that level struggle to do. And they're never able to adapt into that. So that's one edge of the sword. The other edge is learn to play with other people and learn to play with and against loads of different play styles, which kind of relies on doing pickups. So ultimately, you're kind of caught if you stick in the sort of path that you're on, basically, just because in both instances, people in that level don't really know what to do.
Well, let me hit on the team
If that makes
point
sense.
that you brought up. And this rings home to me because I've been on just one team for 5 years when Destiny Troops was a thing, and we went through Loink and we went through the SACs and the Division 2 and all that stuff. It's like if you can get 3 or 4 other teammates and you can mesh together and you can grow together, you are going to improve, or you're going to figure out ways to improve eventually. The problem right now with mid-level is there's no buy-in to patience, because it's not going to be an overnight thing. But I feel like a lot of teams and players are pressured to make it an overnight thing because they want to be able to get results to get them into a plus server, or if they're not getting good enough results, they feel like, oh, we're not going to get the division that we want, or we're not going to get the respect that we want, or it's a lot. You see a lot more people abandoning ship to try out something else because they think they're going to get them results a little bit quicker. And I mean, let's look at FLUTI, for example. Yes, the improving mindset, take it slow, get better, don't worry about results kind of thing. I 100% buy into that mindset. The problem is, if you're also signing up for FLUTI and you want a certain div, me as a person on the seating council, I have nothing to look at but results. So if all I see are a bunch of O2s, that's all I have to work off of. There's nothing else for me to even look at. So I feel like that's where a lot of the frustration comes in, because you're right. If you can get a team together, you're going to figure it out. I don't think the patience has been a problem, and maybe I'm getting deep and saying, oh, it's the society that's creating things to press you to get results quickly. But I feel like that's kind of a thing that's holding a lot of people back as well.
I think there's also the sort of ego aspect of it, if that makes sense. I wouldn't really call it ego. Okay, I think when people think of it as ego, I think it goes the other way. I think it's not me being too good, but the other people being bad.
Yeah.
Not to be clear, that's not like a projection of my own. That's more just like quite often a thing I see.
You're talking about people who are kind of looking around and being like, "Oh, I'm getting most of the splats here," or like, "I'm
you guys
the
suck.
shot caller. Maybe I should leave and find other people to where like I'm not where I'm not like the clear-cut strongest kind of player." And is that kind of what you're alluding to?
Yeah, it's kind of it's also that, but also let's say you fight people in a tournament, and you're on a pickup and they're on a pickup, and you beat them convincingly, and then a week later, said people you beat, maybe one of them DMs you to ask if you want to do a pickup, and you say no because you think that you're better than them because you beat them, meaning they're bad.
Right.
So it's kind of that style of dynamic, which I see quite a lot. And it sucks because it kind of just massively stagnates both people. It kind of limits the amount of people you're able to play with, and ultimately it's just like, what's the point in the end if that's the route you're going down?
Are you playing in FLUTI this season?
Maybe. Unfortunately, pretty much every single one of my friends retired from comp, so I'm kind of, well, not every single one, but ones that I would frequently play with retired. So I'm kind of just like, what's the plan here? So
are you still playing Luna Blaster, like exclusively?
Yes, absolutely.
How many
I was
people,
playing Luna Blaster
to your
1 second
point,
ago.
How many people would you reach out to and would purposely say, like, you play Luna Blaster, I don't really want to touch that?
Is that like a metric of how many times I've done that, or
just like in general, how many, like, because we're talking about how, oh, I'm better than this person, therefore I'm not going to do a pickup with it. At the same time, it's like, okay, if I'm doing a pickup, I want the pencil, I want the splatter shot, I want like the in-zap. The Luna Blaster, like, do you feel like Luna Blaster has people have been like shying away from doing stuff because you do off-meta things, and when they do pickups, they exclusively want like a set comp?
I say no, but I think I'm in the minority in that. I think I'm just lucky because people know me for it. So it's like if they're reaching out to play with me, they are aware what they're getting into.
They know what they're getting. Yeah.
So yeah, if I'm making the pickup, I would usually try and build around myself just so that I can play the game. Because if I have to play in a really whack comp, I played Triton Cup last week. I was asked to play a pickup, and we had like edit Lita Luna, and it was the most unplayable thing in the world. So it wasn't great. But if I'm making it, I would choose to build around myself. But if people are reaching out to me, they know what I'm going to play to begin with, and that's typically what happens. And if I don't know, here's a fun example. I got reached out in November by, I think it was Mert from Black Lotus, to play a tournament with me on S-Blast. And I said, okay, I'm a bit rusty on S-Blast, but I'll try my best. Within a set, I was on Luna Blaster. So it's like, yeah, I think I'm lucky, and I think that goes for a lot of other people in sort of my position, where if they are known for being someone who plays off meta or plays a specific weapon and try their best to be good at it, if you're asking them to play, you're probably going to be aware of that. But if you're I don't know if this applied as like a low level thing either, though. But I think for me at least, I get away with it.
Judging by the comps, I see win low ink. I don't think it's. It's just like
I didn't see
think there should be
who won
more.
low ink.
I think
The
there
comp,
should
I
be
mean.
more like, hey, maybe we should think about this a little bit more. Does this make sense to anybody here? No.
Yeah,
But we're winning.
I see
Okay.
I see the argument of you can at low level or early mid level as well. You can kind of win with any weapon, and I do agree. But there is like a limit to that, and that you do need to be aware that you're playing with said weapon.
Oh,
so you can't run the most weird comps of all time.
I am of the camp that you can win. I mean, people bring up area. Look at the comp that won area cup all the time.
It makes sense though.
Yeah, but it again, it kind of cycles back to, okay, I'll do one with you, but hey, you got to do S Blast instead of Luna, kind of thing. And I feel like a lot of that we need to have set comps whenever we do something has kind of stunted growth with things as well. All right, I'm getting you out of here because I got to talk to other people.
Cool.
But let's talk again some point.
I will be back. Don't worry.
Better.
Most of the time I miss.
I cut him off mid sentence. How rude of me. Aiden.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm new here.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm Popgun. You're Aiden.
yeah.
It's nice to meet you. You know what? Before you say anything, let's play this little game. It's very popular with all the kids who watch this show. It's called Get to Know the Caller. Okay. Do you want to play that?
Yeah, I'm down to play that.
Okay. What are you on a team?
I am indeed.
What is the name of your team?
Rest in the Milky Way.
Hey, I know you guys. Well, I mean, I've heard of you guys. What weapon do you play?
I am a junior main for the most part.
Okay.
I also play blaster, and sometimes I pull out a V shot.
Are we talking?
But for the most part, I'm
vanilla
V junior.
junior, V junior.
Yes.
Okay. Big bubbler. Cool. What is the first tournament you ever played in?
That was a Turf War, Nintendo sponsored Turf War tournament in summer 2020 for Splatoon 2.
Okay, so we're talking about the pandemic.
Yeah. That was a tournament I played with a couple of friends and then it kind of planted the seed of actually joining competitive, which I didn't do until summer of 2024. Or 2023, sorry.
Those pandemic Nintendo tournaments were massive. Like, I think people forget there was legit 600 teams playing in one of them. I don't think it was the Turf War one exclusively, but there was a lot of people like you who got introduced to competitive Splatoon through those pandemic Nintendo tournaments. So it's cool to see that it eventually led to you talking to me here today. So that's okay. That's awesome. What did you got? What did you want to come on and say?
I have a couple of questions. One of them was a bit of bias showing in, but you brought up Rest of the Milky Way's performance and improvements during the FLUTI section, and I was just wondering what division you think they'll possibly get, and like another question was, do you think they have a chance at winning this upcoming low ink?
A chance? What are we talking about? Like 10%? Yeah, like I think
given their like improvement that you have brought up, like is it likely that they will go on to win?
I don't know about likely, because winning low ink is very difficult to do. You have to have a lot of things go your way that weekend, not just playing well, but hoping all your teammates awake on time, or nobody gets sick, or you don't need a sub, or nobody's internet goes out. Winning low ink is very difficult to do, even if you are like the best team in that tournament. I will say any team that goes 6-0 is more than capable of winning. It's just a matter of can you survive the gauntlet of the tournament. Now, to answer your question about what division do I think Rest of the Milky Way is going to get, and this would be the same answer I would give to anybody, is it's impossible to tell at this time. What division you get is based 100% on who all signs up for the tournament. If no top level team sign up or no like really good low ink band team sign up, rest of the Milky Way will get Division X. If everybody that's ever been banned from low ink ever signs up for FLUTI, rest of the Milky Way will get Division 12. So it's impossible to tell until we actually go down. I'll tell you because I'm on the FLUTI seating council. Just a quick idea of how it works. First off, we start with Div X and then we work our way down because you can't just jump. Okay, I'm just going to jump in Division 5 and start putting. Well, you don't know the teams you put in Division 5 might be forced to move up just because there's nobody else above them, or they might get pushed down. So it's hard to tell any of that stuff until everybody's signed up and we start working our way through the divisions, starting with X and moving our way on down.
Yeah, it's just better to go from one end to the other. That makes sense.
Aiden, you call in any time, all right? First time, long time for sure.
I did also have like another question if you were down for that.
I am down. I'm down.
Yeah. Outside of Riptide, are there any lands that you would keep an eye that like you personally would keep an eye out for? Like me personally, as biased as I am, I'm a cheerleader. I am the official cheerleader for H-Town Splashdown, as appointed by Dio himself. But like, are there any lands that you tune into to hear about the happenings about, whether it be local or major, like H-Town, Sunset, or whatever?
A land that is on my personal I would want to go to list at some point is Big Dapple with Metro Inc. in New York. If you have I'm just roughly assuming that you live in the United States. If you have a passport, yes. I would consider get on my level in Toronto. That's definitely one I want to attend myself. But any local you go to, you're going to enjoy. I promise you, any local you go to. But the ones that are more established, like Houston, Arizona, SoCal. I mean, if you want to go on the East Coast, there's so many popping up in Virginia.
Way too many.
A lot. But I mean, there's obviously a demand for it. Boston, Gatorland. Like, there's so many different local ones. But the ones I particularly want to go to that I haven't yet is get on my level in Toronto and Big Dapple in New York. So those would be the ones I would suggest.
All right.
All right, Aiden. Get out of here. Good job. We got 3 more, and we're going to try to speed run these because I don't want to be doing this forever, but I don't want to turn anybody away. We're going to start off with Splat Droid. What you got?
Hello.
Hello.
I have more talk about the mid-level stuff. Like, I made a thread on it. I don't know if you read it.
I've seen many people chime into the conversation. For clarity, I haven't read anything other than what Jared said and what Pika said up to this point. So
fair.
So assume I haven't.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep it short, but I want to say that I have thought about this in general for like months recently because of the drastic way that I've changed in the way that I play Comp Splatoon in the mid-level still. I have a video scripted for it, like about how to keep a team together and why teams fall apart and stuff. That's something I've planned. But for this discussion specifically, I feel like something that's never brought up is how we need team polycules. We need, which, hear me out, is when there's multiple teams that continually scrim against each other and go like they sub for each other. In any tournament and stuff, like for example, Healbook, they've been winning so many things. That's I think Gaia, Ouroboros, and Free Flow, and maybe a couple other players. But that's like they play as one team sometimes, or they play as their separate teams. Polybook, but like that's what wins. That's how they get a lot better, right? There's big examples of this happening before with things like just in top level. I'm not very experienced with top level. Like I don't know the history and stuff, but from what I've seen, I always see top level players like they end up playing with each other in different tournaments when they have specific teams, but they also go cross teams or make a new team for FLUTI or a new team for NA League. Like when they had the NA League, everybody stuck to a team, but right after they started doing pickups between them, and it's like this big group of like 16, 20 players that play together consistently. And I know that's basically all of top level. That's kind of how it is. But I feel like making another team polycule is how you get next to that top level team polycule. And that's why, because like iron sharpens iron in Ninjago, like that's how it you shut up. That's how it works. That's my pitch.
Whoever's giggling next to you
That's my
doesn't
partner
understand that you are 100% right. I didn't understand. I thought that was a word you just made up, but as you described it, it resonated with me because that's what me and my team did when we were growing up. We were Destiny troops, but we played with Splat Force, Persistence, Grillers, Crustacean Crusaders, Ink Sync, and Xanadu, and those were teams that we grew up with. Crustacean Crusaders was the first team we've ever scrimmed against, we ever played, and we played them for 4 years. Just because and played, like, they had some players play with us in tournaments. I think I'd like subbed for Grillers for a few times. And we got to the point to where, like, eventually we call ourselves the Div 6 gang because that's where we all met each other, was in like one Div 6 group. Where and you know, Jim from Squid School was a part of that as well, and has made videos talking about the old Div 6 group. Yeah, Devi knows what I'm talking about with all those teams for sure. And we've all got better together with that. So yes, hearing you explain that is like, yes, you are 100% correct, and I have firsthand experience with that, especially with Xanadu. I remember we played Xanadu in low ink, and we played them in grand finals of SAC, of like the SAC season. So like an actual team we were at the bottom with, and we grind to the top of SAC with. And great point that you brought up. We're going to move on to the next one because that was such a good point. I don't want you to ruin it by saying something else.
Real, I think I might have.
Yeah, whoever's next to you, tell them to stop. Because you're spitting fire, and they don't know any better, obviously.
They were laughing because I said something from Ninjago.
I don't know what that is. That's fine. I'm gonna move you before you even explain it, because that might be, who knows what that is. Wait, is that the Wordle Splatoon thing? Is that what that is? Who is this, by the way? I can only see. Who are you?
This is DHVF.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're the. I remember you, slightly. What you got?
Good to know. Good to know. Also, real quick, to the person who's asking about lands, as a TO for this land, I gotta shout out Anarchy Nova running in Ashburn, Virginia. We have an edition coming up on March 28th. Go sign up. It's such a fun land to come to. We have such a fun and vibrant community.
I mentioned your region, and then somebody complained, well, there's too many in Virginia. So I don't.
There's only one in Virginia, to my knowledge.
Okay. Well, then that's.
I don't know. Maybe there's one I don't know about.
One is too many for that person. Anyways, what do you got? Did you just come on here to plug your land? That's fine.
I did not. No.
Okay.
I think going back to the whole mid-level debate, and there's a lot of ways to look at it. I've seen some like really good takes today online on this podcast. And I think for me, I'm not a mid-level player. I'm firmly in low level. So I say this as a pretty neutral-ish observer. But one thing that I've noticed throughout all this is I can't help but think back to the summer of 2025 during the Splat World Series and the ensuing discourse and all the takes that came up from that. And I think in particular, one of the more prevalent takes I saw in that time period was that we need to be focusing more on pickups, that you need to be able to play with like multiple people in order to maximize your skill level. That was something that like I saw all over the place. And I can't help but think that we might be seeing some of the negative effects on that. I know Acing was talking on this topic a bit earlier in the podcast, but I don't know. Like again, I'm not a mid-level or high-level player. I can't really speak on this, but I do think that a lot of the problems that Jared and Pika and some of these other people were talking about go back to the fact that like a lot of these mid-level players have not found consistent teams, consistent groups of people that I can set a team culture with. I think that it's not even just about how you perform in the game. I think just as much establishing a culture that fits, right? I mean, you see it in physical sports like the NFL all the time. Culture wins you games. Culture is what makes successful teams. And I think that this focus on pickups, like, I'm not saying it doesn't have any strengths. I'm sure it has plenty of strengths, but I think that one of the drawbacks from this like boost in like pickup culture that we saw during the summer of 2025, I think it's kind of rearing its ugly head, like the side effects here. And I don't know. I just think it's interesting to notice that.
Let's throw some context in here. You're referencing, I'm assuming, the declaration of Inkopolis and the conversations that came out because of that, where
Partly, yeah.
the Splat World Series happened and Japan put the West into a headlock and gave them a noogie, and then put their head in a toilet, gave them a swirly in front of the entire world.
Mhm.
And it was okay, well, how are these like pickups from Japan destroying us actual teams that have been practicing together for this whole time? And it was the synopsis basically comes down to, if you're doing nothing but pickups, you're going to figure out how to play better as an individual, not because you are like used to talking to your teammates, but you are just used to reacting with your teammates in the right way. They were talking about how fast the players from Japan were, and it's not because they were using more swim speed. It's because they knew the right plays to make, and they got to those got to those plays faster because they recognized the winning condition faster than what their opponents were. And part of that reason is because they're used to doing so many pickups that they can just feed off it. Like, they can just move to that spot without having to communicate, in a sense. There's some top level player that's going to, you're grossly oversimplifying, but that's the value of pickups that I think they're trying to get to, is making yourself a better individual player by not having to rely on teammates that you're so used to, and instead pushing you out of your comfort zone and getting to a point to where, okay, I as an individual can recognize this, and I'm playing with so many other good pickup players that I know they're going to recognize those kind of things as well. Does that bleed over into the mid-level thing? I don't know. I mean, it's I mean, you're kind of talking about, well, what is the point that you're trying to make with pickup like being a negative thing?
Well, I mean, I think the broader thing is like when you put it like what you just said, I think it makes total sense. I think that pickups, when used correctly, can be extremely valuable, can help you improve the game at a pretty high rate,
Well,
especially when you're trying to catch up with Japan.
so
But
this is what I was bringing up with A scene, and maybe this is the point you're bringing up as well. If you want to do a pickup in mid level, it's okay, cool. I want to do a pickup. Do you play Snipe Rider? Do you play S Blast? Do you play InZap? That's what I'm looking for. And then every pickup becomes some sort of variant of that, versus just I want to play with you because you're a really good Luna Blaster, and we're just going to figure it out kind of thing. Is that a fair?
yeah, no, I think that's completely fair. I think that mid-level just has a completely different environment than the top level. And I think that a lot of these conclusions were kind of based around top level sentiments and trying to catch Japan and trying to perform better in these Splat World Series type caliber events. And I think a lot of mid-level players, they saw the declaration of Ingopolis. They saw a lot of these takes from top-level players and tried to apply it to, their current setting in mid-level, like trying to fit the square peg in the round hole, so to speak. And I think what resulted is what you kind of described, pickups where, they're just looking for very specific weapons, very specific players where ego is prioritized. I think a lot of the problems that have been highlighted by many people today, I think some of it at least can be attributed to, this forcing of pickup culture into places where it's not necessarily meaningless, but I think it's certainly less valuable compared to the highest levels of the game.
What does your name stand for?
It doesn't stand for anything. And I vividly remember you asking me this a couple months ago when I called in. But
well, I was hoping between now and then you would have come up with something. But the answer is still no.
Like a fake answer?
Not a fake answer. I was hoping you as an individual, through the force of pickups or teams or otherwise, would do some soul searching and try to find yourself. And you're telling me you have not yet found yourself.
Hey, I'm not trying to rush this journey of self-discovery, When it happens, it happens, But a couple of months, you got to give me more time than that.
Yeah, the journey is the destination. But I'm assuming your destination with your name is gonna suck. Because what do you do with your
Okay, okay.
HDF? But the next
You
time
know,
you come on here, you tell me you don't come back on here until you discover yourself. Let's say with that.
you know, funnily enough, my teammate made a very entertaining but ultimately incorrect list of possible interpretations for what DHVF could stand for. And I don't know, like if I wanted to go for the comedic value, I could, but that's not it. But maybe I'll have an answer for you next time I call in.
Better, but you call in any time, unless.
All right,
We got time for one more. So I apologize to the people who are just now hopping in and raising up their hand, but I can't do this forever. So we're gonna go with Moku, and we're gonna call it a day. And this is going to be the best person to call in all day and give some amazing takes no one has brought up before. Am I correct?
The fitness gram pays for. I'm just kidding.
Wait, what?
I was trying to meme.
Oh no! Oh no! No
No, it's
memeing.
okay. I got questions.
Okay,
I
what's your question?
I got. So I want to break into mid level.
Okay,
How will I already know that I'm there?
I don't
And
know.
what would you suggest as a way to get in there? Like, how do you survive mid level hell? What can I expect? I don't think I'm low level, but Ludi says, nah, you're Div 10, bro.
Okay, so here's the thing about mid level. It doesn't actually exist because it can't be defined. A lot of people will say you're mid level once you're banned from low ink or you win low ink or whatever. Okay, fine. The problem is, how do you know you're high level? Like, what distinguishes a mid-level team from a high-level team? And no matter who you ask, they're going to give you a different answer. So none of that matters. Also, by the way, there's nothing magical that happens once you become mid-level. Like, these problems that people are talking about are because they've reached a certain skill level in the game to where the next level of progression requires a lot more work than what they had to put in to get up to the point that they're at, which makes sense. To get better at anything, once you reach that next kind of plateau, it takes a lot more effort and a lot more energy. And for some people, it's like, this is just a video game. This is just my hobby. And even if I become like the best player of all time, what's the pot at the end of the rainbow for this? So I how do you break into mid level is not like a. I mean, it's made up, all of it. You can say you're mid level if you want. I don't care. Nobody. It doesn't mean anything. But uh, how to improve at the game is to boil it down to simplicity. You play teams that are better than you, and you play the video game as often as you can um, against people that are better than you, and you improve through that.
I see, that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of the way I've been seeing it, where it's like there's a high level boundary and there's a low level boundary, but I haven't really found the boundary of mid level, and you put it in the words that I could not express. So I'm over here like, am I just going crazy? So do you think I have a higher shot at getting better results with my specialized 10-star S rank handheld plus sticks ink brush?
Who I don't know. I don't know who you are. What do you play? What team do you play for?
I play for Sugar Rush. We're a Div 10 team. We've been
Okay.
kind of quiet for a while, but I've been mostly with pickups just to get experience around the community.
How many tournaments have you played in the past month?
Check my Sundo. I was in Raise for Races, but I think that was last month.
That was in December. Yeah, it was about 2 months ago.
December. Okay. Meme
Uh,
time. Okay.
how many scrims have you played
One.
in the past month? One scrim. Okay. Um,
I played in one tournament this month, but I haven't been in any scrims this month.
so
I was in Stellaris Phantasm.
that would be my suggestion is play the game more, which is not something. I mean, I don't even want to play the video game right now. I'm busy playing
Fair enough.
anything else.
That's so fair.
But yeah, to get better, keep playing. And are you playing in Ludi?
I think we are. I really want to. I have no idea what my captains are doing.
Well, if you do end up playing in FLUTI, don't worry about what division you get, because I think the community has shifted away from caring about divisions and focusing on other ways to separate ourselves based on different opinionated skill dividers and stuff like that. Just play in FLUTI. Enjoy the fact that you're likely going to be in a group against teams that are at your skill level, and you should have a good time. That's all the advice I would
appreciate
have to give. Yeah, you call it any time.
Thanks, Popgun. I have one more question.
Yes.
One more tiny question. Where can I send my Popgun fan art?
Well, you can DM me that. Are you if you're? I mean, you can just DM it to me.
I don't
through
have it on me
Discord.
now.
What do you mean you don't
I
have
don't
it?
have it on me
Like
right
you said,
now.
like where is it?
It's not made yet. It's not
Oh,
made
you haven't
yet.
made it. Okay. When you make it, here's a better idea. If you make it, just put it on Blue Sky and ping me, and
That's
you know
good.
we'll be like that's awesome. So yeah,
Awesome.
that's an easy question for me to answer. All right. You
Thanks for having me, Popgun.
No, you. That's gonna do it for today. An hour and a half. I didn't expect that many, and there's like 3 people who raised their hand that we didn't get to. I didn't expect that many of you to have takes on this, but you came through. Like I said, I wasn't gonna talk about it today, but you guys did. We are. What is Splatoon Tourney? Tourney 2. Okay, we're gonna go to Splatoon Tourney 2. Make sure you guys play in Speed Ladder if you want this upcoming weekend. Next week is the beginning of FLUTI CD Week. I'm still going to do an episode of the podcast on Monday. I am going to reach out. I'm going to have a special guest come on, and it's going to be a great episode unless it's not. Until then, make sure you guys get vaccinated, stay safe, wear a mask when applicable, and just keep playing the video game. You know, if you enjoy playing it. And if you don't, then like why do you even here listening to me? I mean, I don't enjoy playing the video game and I'm still talking about it. Maybe that's a horrible point. I don't know. GG's.